Welcome to Salem Witch Trials Daily. I'm Josh Hutchinson. Today we get to learn about one of the largest and most influential families in Salem Village, the Putnams. They were substantial landowners, and today they are remembered for their leading role in the 1692 witchcraft accusations.
I'm Sarah Jack. It is easy to label the Putnams as the villains of the Salem Witch Trial story, but the truth is, it's so much more complex. It was a massive, expansive family with a mixture of behaviors and responses. Some went hard against the witches, while others actively defended them.
The dynasty began with John Putnam and Priscilla Gould, who settled in Salem by 1641. Today, we're going to look at three branches of the family stemming from their sons, Thomas, Nathaniel, and John Sr.
Branch number one, let's start with Captain John Putnam Sr. He and his wife, Rebecca, testified against George Burroughs regarding George Burroughs' family life.
But there's a twist. They testified against George Burroughs, but they signed a petition in support of Rebecca Nurse. And their son Jonathan followed suit. He testified against several people, but signed that same petition for Rebecca Nurse.
Then there's another brother, Lieutenant Nathaniel Putnam. He testified against people like Sarah Buckley and John Willard, but he did also sign the petition that supported Rebecca Nurse.
There's 8 people named Putnam that signed that petition for Rebecca Nurse. Now, Nathaniel's branch also has a connection to the aftermath of the trials. His son, Benjamin, took in Dorothy Good, the young daughter of Sarah Good, who had herself been accused of witchcraft and imprisoned for many months. But Benjamin took her in after the trials ended, and then Nathaniel's grandson, also named Nathaniel, later took in Dorothy Good's daughter, Dorothy Jr., as an indentured servant.
Most people recognize the family of Lieutenant Thomas Putnam. While Thomas himself died before the trials began, his children and grandchildren were at the very center of the chaos.
Indeed, they were. Specifically, his son, Sergeant Thomas Putnam. This man was the accusation powerhouse. He swore out complaints against 35 different people, testified against 17, and recorded 120 depositions from other people.
That household must have been quite a scene. His wife, Ann Carr Putnam, his daughter, Ann Jr., and their maid, Mercy Lewis, were all suffering afflictions.
Ann Putnam Jr. was actually the first person outside the minister's house to show symptoms. She was a constant presence in the courtroom, but it's worth noting that in 1706, she offered a public apology to the church and to the victims' families, and she's the only accuser that we know of who publicly apologized for her role in the witch trials.
Now, Sergeant Thomas's sister, Sarah, she also signed the Rebecca Nurse petition, but the other sister, Deliverance, was the stepmother of the afflicted girl, Mary Walcott.
So Thomas was actually a step-uncle of Mary Walcott and the father of Ann Putnam Jr., and the employer of Mercy Lewis, and the husband of Ann Putnam Sr. So he's surrounded by these afflicted people. And boy, did he take that inspiration to accuse a lot of folks. Now let's get to the dissenting member of the Putnam family. This fellow you've heard about before. This is Joseph Putnam. He's the half-brother to Sergeant Thomas Putnam. And because of an inheritance dispute, there's friction between him and the rest of the family.
Joseph was a staunch opponent of the trials. Legend says he kept his horse saddled at all times so he and his wife could flee if they were ever accused.
And his branch produced a hero of a different kind. His son was the famous Revolutionary War general Israel Putnam.
The history of the Salem Witch Trials takes a lot of time to look at to understand what was going on with the people. Many people played multiple roles, sometimes accusing, sometimes defending, and many changed their minds as that year went on.